What is dysphagia and how did I even get here? Hello everyone, I am the SLP Peep, and for the rest of the month of October, we will be talking about the scariest subject known to speech-language pathologists, dysphagia. Okay, so dysphagia. First off, what is dysphagia? In previous videos, I've talked about that it's part of the ASHA Big 9, ASHA meaning the American Speech Language Hearing Association, basically the 9 categories that speech-language pathologists are allowed to be clinician under. One of those 9 areas is dysphagia. Dysphagia in the most basic terms means a swallowing problem or disorder. So that means I can go home now and we can call this a 30-second video, right? No. Because if you want to get a little bit more specific, we have to know where the problem is. What I mean by we need to know where the problem is it's kind of simple, but kind of hard to figure out nonetheless. At least if you don't have the right tools or evaluations, that's hard. Such as oral dysphagia means there's something wrong with the mouth part. Not the lips part, but the mouth, the oral cavity part. Usually what this can mean is that you're not clearing out all the food in your mouth when you think you have. It can be gross. Now, if you think that this is not a big problem, generally speaking, you may be right, but this does become a larger problem when you have medication. You think you took your medication is not in your stomach, but in your mouth. Slight problem. Our bodies are amazing. Let's just get that fact straight right now. Your food can go one of 2 ways. The first way, the way we want food and drinks to go, is down the esophagus into your stomach. My stomach is kind of high today because I know how much the video can capture of me. Or the second option, when food goes down the wrong pipe, what this usually means is when you swallow is down the windpipe, in other words, down the trachea, down to the lungs. Now, there are some barriers before food and liquid goes to the lungs, and that's part of our bodies are amazing. When food starts to go down the wrong pipe, there are a few reflexes that happen, such as things can touch our false vocal cords, our true vocal cords, and whenever these things happen, usually there's a reflex that a lot of people do. Do you want to know what this reflex is? Coughing. When somebody coughs, especially while they're eating, they're trying to get food out of the wrong pipe, so that way the food can take a try to get into the correct pipe. In other words, goes down the esophagus. Now, are there exceptions to this rule? Unfortunately, yes, we have a silent problem. There are some people where they do not have this reflex. They do not cough. They do not gag. They don't do anything. Food and or drinks can simply go down the wrong pipe with no warning or indication. There's no coughing, no grunting, no nothing. And this can be troublesome. The name for when this happens is silent aspiration. Aspiration here is meaning food and or drinks go underneath the vocal folds. Not above it, but under it. Now, is this a problem? Before you go, oh yes, this is such a problem, this is such a problem. Hold up. It can be a problem. Believe it or not, everyone aspirates at least a little bit while they sleep. Now, to determine if this is a major problem or not, a doctor and or SLP and or other people with certifications need to check some things out. Some of the most common things to check would be past medical history. What do you currently consume? And as always, family history. Family history is just always in there, okay? Just don't try and take it out. It's just always there. How does a person get diagnosed with dysphagia? How many ways can a person get hurt? And I'm not asking rhetorically, okay, maybe I am a little bit, but the question still stands. There are accidents that can happen to a person, whether they meant it on themselves or it happened to them. There are neurological disorders. There are physical differences at birth. There's even how often does a person swallow, meaning have they had no reason to swallow lately and so they've just gone out of practice? I actually knew somebody like that. Yeah, that was an interesting case. I feel like those are the majority of reasons why somebody has dysphagia, but it's not the total amount. So please don't send any hate on the comments below. To be diagnosed with dysphagia, there must be, first, an evaluation. Chances are an SLP will do the evaluation with the assistance of others, but this is not always the case. I have some coworkers that are able to do this, and they're OTs, occupational therapists. They've had to get extra training and they have to attend who knows what else. But occupational therapists can do this if they have the training. Evaluations can be done in different ways. And there's even one where it says it's an evaluation, but it's more like a screener. In other words, it's more of a tool that can be used to see if a different evaluation needs to be done. Those that know will know what I'm talking about. Now, I do have a video about different evaluations. It will be right here. As soon as the video is posted, hopefully it's up there by the time you're watching this. After an evaluation, there are some changes that can happen. It doesn't necessarily have to happen though. One of the major changes that's done would be the consistency of food. When evaluation is performed, one thing that a clinician is able to see is which food textures are safe for you, the client, to consume. Does food need to be thinner? Does food need to be thicker? What about chunky food? What about smooth food? What about mixed textures? Other modifications could be recommended as well. These modifications are more physical, meaning how should your head be tilted? Such as, should you tilt your ear to your shoulder? What about should you turn your head to look one way or the other way? There's actually a reason why you would look one way and not the other way. What about eating with your head propped up? Or good heavens, let's just put you at a 45-degree angle while you're eating, and when you're done, let's just sit you up at a 90-degree angle. Now, I've talked more about the physical mechanics of swallowing. There's also a sensory component to dysphagia. The sensory input is more along the lines of the smells, the taste, the texture, even the aftermath of when you're done eating with the residue. And then we can repeat the texture, the taste, the smell of that. Usually speaking, this is not behavioral, it's all sensory. Behavioral aspects of dysphagia is more along the lines of somebody throwing their food because they don't want to eat it. An example of this is if I were an outfit made out of sandpaper. No matter how many times you swat my hand away to not rip off the clothes made out of sandpaper, it's still going to hurt. It's still going to be awful. With help from others that have this experience, the training in the sensory input of dysphagia, the grit of the sandpaper is able to be worn down to something a lot more, or at least a little bit more tolerable. Wearing that sandpaper clothing may still be bad, but it's tolerable where at least I can wear clothes. That's a really weird example, but it's the best one I've come up with that's very visual and tactile. You don't want to wear that clothing either, I bet. The moral of that story is dysphagia takes time, whether it is the physical mechanics or the sensory input. And chances are, if somebody says, we're going to plow right through this is eating we're talking about, which, by the way, if you're not eating, medical people have a way to get food in you, and it is a lot less pleasant than actually eating. So yeah, dysphagia takes time. Now, question of the day. Have you heard of this word before? Have you heard of dysphagia before? Let me know in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a terrific day. Bye-bye. Hello, everyone, and welcome to, I don't even know, the first way, the way we want it to go. I just told me how to swallow, such as, should you chilled?